If you're talking to your debt collection agency over the phone trying to negotiate with them, you're doing it wrong. Hi everyone, my name is Ben and this channel is dedicated to all things personal finance, helping you earn more, spend less, and invest the difference. So what do you do in an instance where you get hit with a charge-off and or a collection on your credit report? What's the first thing that you should do? So a quick recap for those people that may not know the difference between a charge-off and a collection. Let's just say that a Mr. John Doe owes a $1,000 medical expense to the hospital. And for whatever reason, John Doe just doesn't pay his debt. Usually after about 180 days, the hospital just kind of gives up that he will ever pay them like he was supposed to, and so they charge off the account. Now, charging off an account is an accounting trick where essentially they give up and they set the balance that you owe them to zero. They get some tax benefits by writing off this money as just a loss. And then usually the next step is they turn around and they sell that $1,000 debt to a collection agency. So by buying this debt, the collection agency is therefore now legally able to go after you and try to collect that $1,000. Now this collection agency is buying this debt for pennies on the dollar. The national average is that collection agencies buy this debt for roughly 4 cents on the dollar. So this $1,000 debt that you owed, they probably bought this debt from the hospital for about 40 bucks. So if they can get really much of any money out of you at all, they're making a profit. And we're going to circle back to this point later on in the video. So now when you're looking at your credit report, you're typically going to see two negative items for this one particular bill. You're first going to see a charge-off from the hospital, and the balance due for this charge-off should always be zero, because remember, you don't owe the hospital any money anymore. They sold that debt to the collection agency. So you're going to see this charge-off with a zero balance due, and then you're also going to see a second negative item on your credit report, and that's going to be the collections account from this XYZ collections company for the amount that you owe them. Now, typically you're going to find out that you have a bill in collections by just getting a phone call. And that phone call usually starts something like this. Hello? Hi, is this John Doe speaking? Yeah, what do you want? You've already messed up. Do not, under any circumstances, give people any information over the phone. And we're not just talking about collection agencies here. We're just talking good, sound, fundamental practices in general. Do not give out your information over the phone. If you've ever watched those crime movies, you know where that FBI agent is interrogating the bad guy and he says, anything you say can and will be used against you. Well, that applies in this situation. The collection agency is recording this conversation, and they will use any nugget of information that you give them to leverage against you. So in this case, as soon as you acknowledge, yes, I am John Doe, now they know they've got the right telephone number, and they're going to keep calling you again and again and again, and they will never stop. Do not provide them any information. So instead, the conversation should go something like this. Hi, is this John Doe? What do you want? I just need to speak to John Doe. Is he around? Who is this? Hi, my name's Sarah. I'm calling on behalf of the XYZ Collections Company. We're trying to set up a payment plan for this bill that's past due. Well, that doesn't sound right, ma'am. I don't know anything about that. I think you might have the wrong person. But I'll tell you what, ma'am, if you send me your name, your company's name, their address, telephone number, and license number, along with any supporting documentation for this bill that supposedly is owed by some random John Doe feller, then I'll take a look at it and I'll see if anyone in this household matches that description. That's it. Do not provide them any information. Now at this point, they will send you a letter in the mail within 5 days, providing any documentation that shows that yes, in fact, you do owe this company. They bought the debt from this hospital and now you owe them instead of the hospital. Now, by law, they're required to send that out within 5 days of contacting you, but it's always a good idea to ask for it again, because some of these collection companies, they just automatically mail that stuff out as soon as they get a hold of your account, and maybe you got it and just threw it away because you didn't open it because it looked like some junk mail or something like that. So always ask for them to send another copy. Now, once they've sent you all of this information, I'm assuming that the bill is actually yours, because if it's not, it should be pretty easy to get this item removed from your credit report. But even if it is yours, you want to still go online and get your credit report from the three major credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. You can go to annualcreditreport.com and pull this for free. So you're going to match up all of the information that they provided you with what's showing on your credit report. You're going to nitpick and look at all of the details. So you're going to look at things like the name. Is it spelled right? Is the account number correct? Is the date that the account was open correct? Was the balance due correct? How about the date of the last payment? Is that correct? If it's a credit card, then make sure the credit limit is correct. Everything you're going to nitpick and make sure it is correct. Because if there's anything that is wrong, that could be grounds to have this item removed from your credit report entirely. If there is something wrong, send a dispute letter to the three major credit bureaus and tell them exactly what is wrong. And just say that, hey, these people are reporting inaccurate information on my credit report. This is what they are reporting, and this is what it actually should be. They have a legal obligation to report accurately, and since they did not report accurately, I want this negative item removed from my credit report. But even if everything does match, you still want to dispute these items anyway. Just send a generic letter that says, hey, I do not recognize any of these bills. Please verify with the lender that this is actually correct. Now at that point, you're going to still mail these out to the three different credit bureaus, and I would also send a copy directly to the lender themselves, this XYZ Collections Company. The reason you want to dispute it anyway, even if you know it's accurate, is twofold. First, that letter that they sent you in the mail, it typically has a little clause in there that says that you have 30 days to dispute the validity of this bill. And if you don't dispute within that 30 days, then essentially you acknowledge that the bill is legitimate and that you did in fact owe that money. And the second reason you want to dispute anyway is because when you send a dispute letter to the three different credit bureaus, they are going to reach out to the XYZ Collections Company for verification that this stuff is actually correct. And if XYZ Company fails for whatever reason and does not provide the information that they need to all three of those credit bureaus in a timely manner, then that information by law must be deleted off of your credit report. So it's worth a shot. Sometimes people get busy and they get overwhelmed with paperwork and they don't submit all of the stuff that they're supposed to. So there's a chance that you could easily get it removed this way. All right, so now let's say a worst case situation. The three credit bureaus, they validated everything. They say, yep, it's legit. This stuff is going to stay on your credit report because you owe the XYZ Collections Company all of this money. Now at this point, you got three different options. You can either pay your bill in full like you originally said you were going to. You can negotiate with the collections company and try to negotiate a lower payment. Or option C, you can just ignore it entirely. So we're going to go over all three of those scenarios. The first option, pay your bill in full. Well, that's the moral thing to do. But I understand that not everybody has the financial means to make decisions based on morals. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. So for some people, just simply paying your bill in full wasn't an option. And if you had that option, then you probably wouldn't be in this situation to begin with. The second option is you can try to negotiate with the collections company for a reduced payment. Now you can negotiate this stuff over the phone, but if you do come to an agreement for some sort of a reduced payment, let's just say that they agree to take $500, and if you pay them $500, they'll just call this $1,000 debt good. They'll just walk away from the rest. And so you send them $500, and then they turn around and send you a letter in the mail saying, yeah, where's our other $500? You see, the problem is when you only do your negotiating over the phone, you have no way to prove what they said. You have no way to prove that they said that they would only accept $500, and then that would be the end of it. So when you're doing your negotiating, if you come to an agreement as far as terms, make sure before you actually send them any money that you have them send you a letter stating the exact terms that you guys agreed on. So make sure it's on their stationary letterhead, make sure it has all of the details. Hey, account number 1356, owned by John Doe, was delinquent for $1,000. We will accept payment for $500, and at that point we will just call it good. Whatever the verbiage is, make sure it's in writing. Now, when it comes to negotiating, I recommend starting the negotiating at 25% of whatever it was that you owed. So if you originally owed $1,000, just tell them over the phone, hey, look, I'm struggling. I was laid off, or coronavirus hit me, or whatever your sob story is. I've been having a lot of financial troubles, not just with you, but with other lenders as well. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if I can pull out of this or not. I've been contemplating bankruptcy, and while I don't want to go down that road, it really just depends on what options we are able to come to with yourself as the lender, as well as my other lenders. Let them know that you are talking to friends and family trying to get enough money to get you out of this debt that you're in, and let them know that you're also trying to work with other lenders to secure loans in order to bring your old accounts current. So you're just going to want to tell them, hey, look, I don't think there's any way that I can pay $1,000, but I might be able to pay $250. But if I do pay that $250, that would be contingent on being able to secure other loans, because I still need financing in place, and that financing is dependent on my credit score. I can't make this work if my credit score is suffering. So if I pay you that $250, I also need assurances that you will send letters to the 3 different credit bureaus saying that all of this stuff was sent in error and that all of these negative items should be removed from my credit report. Because if they're not removed from my credit report, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the loans that I need, and bankruptcy would probably be my only option. So you want to hit both of those things. You want to try to get a reduced payment, and you want them to commit to sending a letter to the 3 different credit bureaus saying that this was all a misunderstanding and these negative items should be removed from your credit report. If they agree to that, remember, you got to get it in writing. Have them send you a letter detailing exactly what you guys talked about over the phone. Now, usually when collection agencies accept these lower amounts, they usually only give you a certain number of days, usually something like 5 days or 10 days or something like that, to actually send them the money. So make sure that you've actually got enough money on hand to immediately turn around and pay these guys, because if you don't pay it immediately, that agreement that you guys just came to suddenly goes out the window. So make sure you got that money easily available. When you send that money, do not provide them your credit card information. Do not provide them your bank account information, your account number, routing number, anything like that. You do not want them to have any of your information. Go down and get a money order and mail it, certified return mail, to the address, the company's address for XYZ Collections Agency. Do not give them your credit card information or any of your other financial documents. Then once you've paid this collection agency the money that you owed them, you're going to want to show proof of payment, and you're also going to want to provide that letter that says that they would remove all of this stuff from your credit report, and you want to send all of that stuff off to the 3 different credit bureaus, and you should be able to get this collections item removed from your credit report. And then the last option is simply do nothing. Remember, we had 3 options: paid in full, pay partial, and do nothing. So if you decide to do nothing, there's two different dates that you need to be aware of. The first one is how long is this stuff going to negatively impact your credit report? And that is going to stay on there typically for 7.5 years from the date that you were first delinquent. So for example, if you are originally delinquent in January of 2020, usually they won't write this off and charge it off and send it to collections for 6 months after that, so like July of 2020. So in July of 2027, 7.5 years later from the day you were first late, that is when these items will start falling off your credit report. The other date that you need to be aware of is the statute of limitations. Now, this varies by state. Some states have very short, some have very long. The average is somewhere between 3 and 6 years. Sometimes it's as low as 2 years, sometimes it's as high as 15 years. It just kind of depends on the state that you live in. Just go to Google, type in debt collection statute of limitations, New York or California or whatever it is. And Google will easily tell you how long they have. So for example, let's just say that they have 3 years, that's the statute of limitations. What that means is they have 3 years to sue you for money that you owe them. After 3 years, they can no longer take you to court and try to collect damages. You do not want to go to court. Court is going to be bad news because you're probably going to lose, which means that they now have additional options to collect this money. Depending on your state, they might be able to garnish your wages, they might be able to take your car and repossess your car. They might even be able to take that big screen TV that you got hanging in the living room. If it's of value and they win a court case against you, there's a good chance they can take it. Now the good news is that while the collections company is chronically going to tell you and threaten that, hey, we're going to sue you if you don't pay us, realistically, it's not very common for collection agencies to actually attempt to bring you to court. Because court is expensive and it's never guaranteed. I mean, let's be real. Do you think the collections agency is going to hire a lawyer and all of the court fees that are involved to come after you for a $300 expense and collections account? No. They're going to spend more just on the lawyer. And so if they lose, not only are they not getting that $300 that you owe or whatever, but they also just spent a ton of money in court costs and lawyer fees and all that kind of stuff. So realistically, it's extremely rare for collection agencies to actively try to sue you unless you owe them a large amount of money. I would say anything less than $1,000, you're probably safe. And reality is, probably anything less than $3,000 to $5,000, you're also probably going to be pretty safe. It's got to be worth their time to actually take you to court. Now, if you do negotiate a reduced payment, I highly recommend that you only do a lump sum payment, a one-time lump sum. So if we refer back that $1,000 and we said that we would pay 25%, just do a one-time $250 payment. Do not try to do maybe like $50 a month for the next 5 months. Do not try to do it that way. Here's why. As far as the credit report goes, it's not going to matter when you make these additional payments because 7.5 years later from the time that you were first delinquent is when all of this stuff falls off your credit report. Because what could happen is you make, let's just say, 2 payments at $50 a month, and then something else happens and you're not able to make any more payments. And so now you brought your account current and then you fell off the wagon again and now you're delinquent yet again. But for the credit side of things, it's 7.5 years from when you were first delinquent. But the statute of limitations, when they can sue you, every time you make a payment, that statute of limitations resets. So for example, if the account was 2 years old and you made a one-time or two-time payment of $50, that resets the clock and you now have 3 years from today that they can sue you. So if you stop making payments as you were supposed to, that $50 a month payment, they have another set of 3 years to take you to court. So only pay them if you can do a one-time payment and just be done with it. So that's going to wrap it up for us today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, give it a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. I have new videos almost every day. And as always, I'll see you all again next time. Thanks.